And I feel like when I wrote that song, it was kind of like I was writing it for my future self.
Sometimes I feel like my heart has been split open. You see everything I'm hoping. I'm a river running high. Sometimes I feel like there's a river running down my neck. There's traffic passing through my chest and through my mind. Sometimes I feel like my heart has been split open.
Yeah, it was actually our first US festival we've ever played, and it was really great. It was like incredibly hot out in the sun, but it was amazing. We didn't really know what to expect at all. We were expecting it to be hot though, so we were kind of mentally prepared for that. But yeah, the vibe was great, and we saw people wearing Cub Sport t-shirts in the audience and stuff. So yeah, it was very nice. I listened to a lot of pop music growing up. I think a lot of that came from the States. One of my favorite pop groups was Aqua, though, who are from Denmark. But yeah, I listen to heaps of pop. I'm like Britney Spears' number one fan, and Destiny's Child. Those are kind of my main, yeah, my main artists that I listen to. Dad listened to a lot of like Leonard Cohen growing up, and at the time I really didn't enjoy it. But as I've gotten a bit older and kind of learned to appreciate the lyrics and things, that has, yeah, kind of come through a bit more for me as an influence, as well as my love for pop. Yeah, the Chelsea Hotel cover that we did was, yeah, inspired by a love for Leonard Cohen, but also for Lana Del Rey. It was actually seeing her covering that song that made me really pay attention to it. And then I went back and listened to Leonard Cohen's version, and then I was like, oh, Dad was onto something. I feel like as queer artists, we still have a bit further to go in terms of having like as much representation in the mainstream as, I guess, heterosexual pop artists. But I think, yeah, having artists like Troye Sivan and then having like Brockhampton and that sort of thing, it's definitely an exciting time where you can see queer artists like rising up, and it not so much being about the fact that they're queer, but rather that people are just connecting with what they're doing. And yeah, it feels like people are just becoming more open to discovering other people's walks of life. Yeah, I feel like with our personal journeys and coming out and getting together, the songwriting and I think very much also the visual side and even how we present ourselves has changed a lot. I think that I've always been more open with my songwriting than I would like to admit in the moment. And once I had come out and I kind of looked back at songs I had written before I'd come out, it was really clear to me that I was being honest and kind of telling my secrets before I was actually ready to let anybody know what was going on. But I do feel much more comfortable in discussing that and acknowledging to myself that, yeah, I am being honest in what I'm writing, whereas I used to deny that a lot. But yeah, it feels really different now than it did a few years ago, for sure. I don't think it was really something that I was looking for. I feel like because I was in so much denial myself, I'd kind of learned to like block it out from anywhere that it would come up. And I think I felt like the more I could distance myself from anything queer, the less people would suspect I might be. But yeah, I feel like there's a chance that those sorts of things subconsciously like make you feel more supported as well, even if you're not consciously ready to dive in. I feel like those queer artists like Freddie Mercury and Elton John and Boy George were all breaking down such huge walls in the time that they were active as artists. I think that with the way that society is progressing now, more people want to learn about I guess the people who put in that work like long ago when it was much less safe and the world wasn't as ready to see something like that. So yeah, I feel like without those artists doing what they did, we wouldn't be where we are today. And so I think that for me personally, I'm like I always want to know more about those heroes who did what they did so that we can be doing what we're doing now. I feel like fashion is something that we've always loved, but I think again that was something that I sort of distanced myself from because I was like, if I dress like that, people are gonna start thinking I'm gay. And now that I'm out and I really like that I'm gay, I'm like, hell yeah, I get to wear all of these fun outfits that I like feel good in. So I think it's something that we've incorporated much more recently as it's felt natural and we have the confidence to do it. Yeah, so the video was kind of inspired by my love for 2000s icons. So there's like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian. I love how they turned an invasion of privacy into like an empire, and now they're so influential. And I think that people are learning to really respect what they've done with the situation that they both found themselves in. Yeah, there are lyrics in video that allude to a sex tape. It's also about owning, just owning who you are and having confidence in yourself and following that, which is something that I'm still learning to do. And I feel like when I wrote that song, it was kind of like I was writing it for my future self. Like I didn't really feel like I like know myself that much when I wrote it, but I think it was kind of something for me to grow into. And yeah, so for the video, my friend Grace Morrat, who is on the song, uh, came to Melbourne. We both went and shot the video there in this old like manor, so it looked very luxe. And yeah, we wore these really long blonde wigs. There's a part in her verse that says my hair was really long, and ever since she sent that to me, I was like, we need to do a video where she has like hair to the floor. And then we ended up both wearing the long wigs. There's a shot in it where I'm only wearing the wig, which is something I definitely wouldn't have imagined myself doing like even a year ago. One of my favorite artists is Hatchie. She's also from Brisbane and she's one of our good friends as well. And her voice is just heavenly, and she has like a fusion of like shoegaze and pop, and it's just yeah, so amazing to listen to. And there's a song called Her Own Heart on her album. And if you're like listening to it and doing anything, it like, feels like you're in a movie or something. It's like very beautiful. So that's someone who I would say, yeah, check out if you aren't across her yet. I love Billie. We saw her last night and I was just so blown away. It was the first time I'd seen her play live, and she just has such an incredible energy, and you could feel the entire audience just like adoring her. And yeah, it was so special. I'll never forget it. We chose to cover When the Party's Over, I think just because it's such a beautiful song. And I mean, in terms of what we do musically, it really fits into that as well. It's quite restrained and has lots of harmonies, and it's just like quite gentle and beautiful. And I love that she's managed to like kind of break into the pop world doing something completely her own. I almost feel like the pop world has come to her rather than her going to it, which I think is just incredible. I feel like we have a very unique thing going on, and we're completely independent and self-managed, and it feels like what we're doing sonically is definitely really different to other things that are like blowing up in the pop world right now. But I feel like there's an accessibility to what we're doing, that yeah, I'd love to see the pop world come to us the way that the pop world has come to Billie Eilish, for sure. I feel like the independent self-managed thing does come from feeling like we need to be in complete control of our narrative and the way that we're developing as artists. I think especially once I started being really open about how personal and autobiographical it all is, I realized the importance of having that control and being free to follow our gut with all the decisions we make, even if they don't necessarily feel like they make sense in an industry model. Um, Making sure that everything feels right as an artist, I think, is super important. And yeah, I feel like that allows us to really be genuine in what we do, which is the most powerful part of Cub Sport, I think. Wow, it's so hard to choose one track to represent the band because I feel like even on our albums, the sound across it changes a lot. I think maybe I would say "Come On Mess Me Up," which is a song off our first album, and I think that that song in particular is one that felt like a real turning point for me with my writing. It was actually just as that rediscovery of Leonard Cohen was happening, um, in 2013 when Lana put out her cover, and I listened to the lyrics, and it's like giving me head on the unmade bed, and I was like, oh my god, like he is so free in the lyrics that he's writing. Like, what do his parents think? And I think that from that point, I was like, I I want to write songs without worrying about who's going to be hearing it and what they're going to make of what I'm saying. And Come On Mess Me Up was the first time that I think I really wrote fearlessly. And I think it kind of shows in the way that that song, I still feel so connected to it, even like after two more albums on that we've released. And yeah, so I feel like that song felt like such a big turning point for Cub Sport. So I think that that would be a good first one to visit. A whole lot more touring. We don't plan to slow down anytime soon. We've got a bunch of new music as well, which I can't give away too many details about, but it's coming. I feel like everything that we do feels like a step forward in discovering ourselves and presenting the next part of our personal journey to the world, which is really exciting.